You ain't qualified to ask me that question. You ain't qualified to get that answer, bro.
Let's rewind.
Well, my name is Dasun Born Allah. I'm from Mecca. This will be basically in September, my 21st year of being around and in cipher of the gods and earths. And 21 has been a significant number for me throughout my career and throughout my life. Particularly, it was hip hop that got me interested in the Nation of Gods and Earths, and in general, it was I'd say rap music and hip hop culture that changed and transformed who I was in general, because I was basically raised as Jehovah's Witness. So, you know, I mean, it was through the music that I began to, I guess, change my mindset, and through the, I guess, rebellion of listening to that music, which some people within that particular organization saw as being what they call debasing, or something that would erode my morals. It was through that my awakening began, and particularly what stirred my curiosity was the video for Wake Up by Brand Nubian. When I saw the imagery of the devil in whiteface, the black man, you know, in whiteface, and hearing the different lyrics and wondering what they meant. And then I had grown up in the Harlem community and had walked past 126th Street and 7th Avenue many a times, and was oblivious to what that building was, what Allah School in Mecca was. And that particular video, where they began the video in front of the school, it made me wonder what was actually going on at that school. So that was what was that, like the early 90s, late 80s, when that sparking occurred. But it wasn't until 1992, around that time, that I really started getting interested in that God was always around. Because I remember the first first vibration I received was when in junior high school there was a guy named Jaquan. And then I was in Brooklyn Tech later on in life, in like the late 80s, and there were a lot of 5%ers, a lot of guys around in the Brooklyn Tech. And from what I understand, the guys was running Brooklyn Tech at one time before the Decepticon era happened. But I asked one of my friends about the math and alphabet, and he told me about the math of the alphabet. His name was Gershon, and I had worked with his brother at the Gap like around 89 or whatever, and I was hanging out with them in Flatbush. But I was in Harlem at that time, and he gave me the math. But it wasn't until I had went through some ciphers with the mental health situation, and I wound up being in the psych ward in Harlem Hospital, that I met, ironically, a man named Earth. He called himself Earth. It bugged me out, especially considering that I had always known that the woman was the Earth. So I'm like, why was this man calling himself Earth? It bugged me out. But even though he had a weird name and had a weird way of explaining it, it convinced me when I was there, that when I came out, that I was going to pursue knowledge itself wholeheartedly. And it's ironic that a man who called himself Earth and this hip hop, all of this stuff coalesced and sent me out of this particular stay. And when I was released from the ward at Harlem Hospital in 1995, I went straight to a law school and saw, it was Colleen was in front of the school. G. Colleen was in front of the school at that time. And I, you know, told him that I was interested in learning about what's going on with the gods and earths. And he told me that Parliament was the next day, that they were doing something at the park that day, but then Parliament was the next day. And I couldn't go to the park that day. This was in 1995, September of 1995. I couldn't go to what was happening at the park, but I went to the Parliament the next day. And Najee, I spoke with him. He gave me the math and alphabets. And he told me to go home and look up the definitions in the dictionary and use that as a basis for drawing up my own understanding. I know a lot of people are given the math and alphabet, and people give them definitions with it. That's not the way I was given it. I was given it and told to draw it up for myself, to, you know, use the dictionary as a way, as a foundation, not to take it on face value from the dictionary, but use that as a foundation for drawing up my own understanding. So I guess the way I got it is different from the way a lot of other people got it. But that's my history of how I was introduced into the Nation of Gods and Earth. So it was basically through hip hop and through going through ciphers in the mind and you know, little different things.